इस गुस्से को लेके क्या करोगे तुम लाइफ में कबीर?
I'm not a rebel without a cause, sir.
How's it going, everybody? This is Advait. It's 2019 and it's the most controversial film of the year so far, Kabir Singh. Let's get into it. Okay, so before I start this video, there are a couple of things that I need to make extremely clear. For the sake of this video, I'm only going to be talking about the movie Kabir Singh. I'm not going to be talking about the director or the comments he made during any interview because, first, I'm not very sure in what context he said those things. B, I'm not very sure that he effectively communicated what he wanted to say in the first place, so it's not fair that I go and talk about it. Secondly, this is not a video about the defense of the character Kabir Singh. This is a video purely about the movie and the criticism that has gone on around the movie since its release. Like a lot of you guys, I went to the theatre and I saw Kabir Singh very recently. Now, by the time I saw the film, it had already been out in the theatre for a couple of weeks. So, I had been reading a lot of things about the film in the press. I was prepared to hate the film, but then I actually went and I saw the film. And I started to get a little confused. I'll tell you why. Kabir Singh is a character who is an absolute degenerate. He is constantly thrown into situations where without fail, he makes the worst choice possible, involving self-harm, abuse, misogynistic behavior, and violence. But if we're going to be looking at the film and judging the characters, then I feel that he's not the only person who deserves this treatment. There's a whole lot else in the film that we need to look at and that we need to question. And the first thing that I want to address is the premise. Now, in the beginning of the timeline of the story, Kabir Singh is shown as being a student in a medical college. Things like violence, ragging, dadagiri is the absolute norm. A lot of people who saw this were very stunned by the whole thing and said that, hey, this is not good, it shouldn't be shown. But let me tell you, as someone who has lived through hostel life for 4 years in my engineering days, that this is not far from the truth at all. Stuff like this happens. Is it right? Absolutely not. In fact, just have a look at this video of Amir Khan in Satyamev Jayate when he speaks about toxic masculinity, talking about ragging, talking about a lot of things that guys go through when they are in their college life. So the movie has just shown a reality that does exist. The second thing that I want to talk about is when Kabir moves to the city. And there are two people here who play a very crucial role in him behaving the way he does a lot of the time through the rest of the film. The first, of course, is Preeti's father. Preeti's father catches Preeti and Kabir making out on the terrace. And when Kabir tries to talk to him and reason with him, he speaks to Kabir in a very dominating way and is not prepared to listen to him, constantly speaking about his own honor and actually going ahead and saying, "She is my daughter. She will marry who I want her to marry." So somewhere down the line, if you're going to be blaming Kabir Singh for the way he's looking at women and looking at Preeti and establishing this ownership over her, I think that you need to also talk about this and figure out that, hey, this is wrong as well. The second person who plays a very, very crucial role in Kabir's mental breakdown is, unfortunately, his own father. When Kabir comes back from Preeti's house, his father knows that he's in a very bad state. And instead of talking to him man to man at the time when Kabir Singh is at his most vulnerable state, his father throws him out of the house. But the fact that he chose to have his son leave the house at a time when he knew his son was at his most vulnerable speaks volumes about the fact that Kabir Singh is certainly not the most toxic element in this movie, at least till now. Even the most endearing characters in the film, the quintessential best friend Shiva, who sticks with him through thick and thin and constantly tries to get him out of his state of depression. His brother, who tries to make peace with him and the family, who's constantly caught between the two of them. They also constantly try and enforce upon Kabir their own idea of what he should do. Shiva even tells Kabir at one point in time, "What's wrong with you? Boys don't cry, so don't cry." So my point is, sure, Kabir Singh is almost entirely everything the media is accusing him of being, who constantly makes the worst choices in these situations. But the reason these situations arise in the first place also needs to be looked at if we're going to be analyzing the film in a moral way. And this is where I begin to believe that none of the things that we've spoken about so far today and none of the things that are being said in the media are relevant at all. Let me tell you why. Because Kabir Singh is not the story of a hero. It is not the story of a villain. It is just a movie about a flawed personality who makes horrible choices with his life. If anything, it is a study for how not to mess up your life and a visual display of the choices that you really, really should not make. Because people seem to have forgotten that, yeah, sure, he gets married to Preeti in the end, but also he loses his medical license, which is the other love of his life. He can't practice surgery for the next 5 years. So I don't buy the argument of people saying, hey, He's a hero, he gets what he wants in the end because he doesn't. But there's something a little more fundamental happening over here. In my last video, I spoke about the portrayal of masculinity in popular culture and the way it has shaped our idea of masculinity today. Well, the solution to that is not to change popular culture and to change the stories being told and the films being made. The change that we have to make is be able to differentiate that from reality. Because this is not the first film with a flawed protagonist who self-sabotages his way through life. But a lot of the people who are criticizing Kabir Singh are the same people who are praising these other films for being true and gritty and raw in their treatment and portrayal of the protagonist. So why just Kabir Singh? If we're going to be doing that, then we should be doing that across the board for every single film that comes. And if we're going to be looking at films as a cultural directive for our youth, then we should be very strict about the kind of films being made. The only film that should be made again and made sequels of is Hum Saath Saath Hain. And Sacred Games Season 2 should just be basically hopscotch around a Havan Ka Kund. But let's be honest, Kabir Singh is not the first portrayal of toxic masculinity on screen. But the reason that he's drawing so much attention and so much criticism is specifically because of the way he's treating the women around him. While making this video, I researched a lot on what people are saying about toxic masculinity in relation to Kabir Singh, and all I could find was stuff like this article in a very reputed newspaper very recently, where people's general definition of toxic masculinity seems to be just guys who treat women badly. Yeah, sure. That is a very, very important aspect of toxic masculinity. That is one of the main symptoms of it. But that is not the only definition of it. So this talk of toxic masculinity which has come about now should have been going on for a very long time. And another important aspect to it is that just because a guy treats women well but treats everybody else around him, himself included, like crap, then that doesn't mean he's not toxic. He's still exhibiting toxic masculinity. It may just be less obvious to you. And this brings me to my last point. A lot of people are going ahead saying whatever they want about the film, talking about toxic masculinity, bashing the character Kabir Singh without actually even having watched the film.
I think it's absolutely shocking. And Nidhi, I did not see the film because I saw the trailer. And the trailer itself, which I saw on the big screen in a cinema hall, I found it so shocking and so horrifying. And it sort of creeped me out so completely that I decided, my husband was with me, and both of us decided this is a film we are not going to see because it sends out exactly the kind of messages that we are concerned about.
And this is a very troublesome thing. Because spreading hate and spreading a strong opinion about something is becoming very fashionable these days. I mean, if you're going to be talking about responsibility in the creative field and the director's responsibility towards his audience, then you should be exhibiting that same level of responsibility towards your audience by having full information on the facts which you're reporting. So guys, I just want to end on this note. Kabir Singh is certainly not a perfect film. It has its flaws, it has its weak points, and Kabir Singh, the guy, is an absolutely messed up person. But I think that when we go and watch a film, or when we consume any form of media, it's really our responsibility to allow a bunch of very talented people to try and entertain us through amazing performances, which I believe in this film they have. So guys, thank you for spending these few minutes with me. It really means a lot. Let me know what you think about this video, and if you have any thoughts about the film that I may have missed out on in the comment section down below. So like this video if you enjoyed watching it, subscribe for more awesome content like this. This is Advait Kotari signing off. Cheers.